Today on the Diz List, we play a game called Favorite, Fix, or Flatten at Walt Disney World.
Welcome to the Diz List, podcast that lists everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and welcome to the Diz List where we count down. Shoot.
That's okay, Rob. It's okay.
How many times have I goofed that up before?
I mean, enough.
Not very often.
Well, that's because you don't normally read a script.
Well, I don't normally read a script.
I'm going to buy a teleprompter for above your camera.
Well, you know when in my head, as soon as I goofed up, I went, you know what we don't do anymore? We don't say the episode number. We don't need to. Like, who cares at this point, right? Unless
it's episode 118, but
right. But does it matter? No, today we're doing today we're playing Triple F, Favorite, Fix, or Flatten, which is a fun game that we love to play.
Yeah, we started it on our Patreon episodes.
I love playing this. And
it's really
hope our regular listeners really enjoy this. Again, sorry about the flub. I'm human.
Yeah, like you're gonna get us all unedited, and we don't have makeup on, so we're good to go. Our bald heads will be shiny.
Well, I shine mine up. Speak for yourself.
Yeah. So Triple F though
is not a wrestler. Nope. It's a game that we came up with.
It is a game we came up with, and we're doing a little different this time because we're doing a full length episode of it. Normally, this is like a 20-minute. You don't get into details. We're going to get into some details, I think.
Yeah, this is great. And like you mentioned earlier, this is a game that we play on our Patreon episodes, which we've done quite regularly. I think we've done it at least a half a dozen times, if not more.
Yeah, with different topics. So let's explain the whole idea.
So go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so today we're doing Favorite, Fix, or Flatten with Epcot Country Pavilions.
Cool. So what I do is I take all the names of the countries. There's 11 different countries, right? And what we do is we put them in a randomizer. So I use it at school all the time. I don't know if you use this.
Yeah, I call it the Wheel of Death. I know,
because I think it's literally called Wheel of Names, but Wheel of Death is hilarious.
Yeah, because kids are they don't want to answer math questions.
Yeah. So we put it into the Wheel of Death, and we put all 11 countries in.
Yep.
And then we spin this wheel. It looks kind of like the wheel in Wheel of Fortune.
Yep, absolutely.
So if you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see it happen.
A lot of creators use it for giveaways.
Yeah, it's really great. So we're going to run that. We're going to see what we end up with.
Yeah.
And depending on what comes up, we have to respond, and I'll let you explain this part. We have to, what we'll do is we'll write down what the three countries are, and then you can kind of play along to yourself. So as soon as you hear what three countries we get, explain.
Yeah,
we have to
pick one that we have as our favorite. We don't
touch it.
We have to pick one that we fix, which means we like it enough that we want to fix it up. We deserve it. We believe it deserves a little TLC.
Yep.
And then we pick one that we flatten.
Which is hard sometimes.
Yes.
Because we love pretty much everything at Disney.
I mean, we've had some times where we've had 3 beloved rides on Patreon that we've done.
And you have to flatten
top
10 favorite rides.
But there's also been times where it's man, I want to flatten all 3 of these.
I know. Because it's random, and sometimes we get 3. Yeah. I mean, it's not garbage, but it's you get 3 rides that are not.
No, you might get
or attractions or pavilions, whatever you get.
Yeah, you might get Aladdin's carpets, and the carousel, and Dumbo.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Dumbo's going to be the favorite.
Sure.
Because it's classic, and then it's oh, man.
There's inside fun. Okay, now what do we do?
Now what do we do? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you never know. And that's what's fun about it. It's random. So this episode could really stink. Well, it could be really cool.
Well, and I mean, so many of the pavilions have really great stuff. Some a little more than others,
Right.
Maybe Morocco comes up, and then we gotta.
Oh well, I mean,
I actually like going in the back and resting there. I wish that restaurant would come back.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
All right, ready to play?
Yeah.
All right, so I have it set up here, and let's start. We're gonna spin.
Okay.
All right. I don't know. I don't think you can see it from where you're sitting.
I can't see it. That's okay. Just tell me what we get.
We can add this to the screen. Okay. So it's spinning. And our first one is, the UK Pavilion.
Okay. All right.
No, UK, not OK.
Yeah, okay.
UK, not the OK Corral.
All right. UK.
That's
United
over
Kingdom.
That's Frontierland.
Gotcha. for a little while.
All right, next one is Germany. Okay.
Oh, all right.
Germany's next.
Germany and UK.
These are ones you like.
Yeah,
so
I know.
far.
So
it's
far,
going to
I'm
be harder
not,
for you.
Yeah.
All right, last one. See if we get Morocco. All right, slowing down. We have, your neighborhood, your neck of the woods, Canada.
Oh, no.
All right.
UK, Germany, and Canada.
In Canada, eh?
I'm wearing my Figment Canada shirt, which is available on magicmerch.art.
Yeah, go check it out.
All right. So,
okay.
That's gonna suck.
Okay. All right, so here we go. Favorite, fix, or flatten. So we have, just to review one more time in my head, so we have, got to visualize it, we have Canada.
Yep.
If we move around a little bit more, we have UK Pavilion, which they are literally neighbors, right? And then a little further around the pond, we have Germany.
Okay.
So those are going to be our three. What order would you like to go? Favorite first? What order would you like to do? I know we've done it different ways when we've done it on our show.
Let's do the order of the name. Favorite.
Okay. So for favorite, let's see. I think for favorite for me, I'm going to go with Canada.
Okay.
You're smiling.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go with Canada for my favorite.
Okay.
I like it for a lot of reasons. I love the Native American artwork out front. I love being able to see that. I'm a big fan of that style of art. I like how relaxing it is back with the waterfall. Just hearing that sound is a nice break kind of from the chaos. It's usually not too busy back there, which is a reason I know you like a lot of these other pavilions. They have the movie, which is great. Canada Far and Wide, it's called now. That's the current one. The gardens are great. The performances are good. I don't think I've ever gotten the poutine there before. Have you?
Yeah, it's
you were curious, right? Because you're used to real Canadian poutine.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I had some on Saturday, by the way, from a food truck. I don't know if it's a Canadian food truck. It's in the Rochester area. Do you know that food truck? Do you know or not if it's run by or if it's like a Canadian recipe?
It's actually okay. I mean, it's not super authentic, but it's good enough.
How about the Canadian Pavilion poutine? We'll get to it later.
It's better. Better.
Okay. I was waiting to see if you were going to say
it's better.
Get to it later. Okay.
No, it's better.
All right, good.
Yep.
So that's kind of, I don't know why. I really like the Canadian Pavilion. Would I pick it as my favorite of all of them? No, probably not. But I have some ideas with the others. And
okay.
You're smiling again.
No,
so what is your favorite of the three?
So this is going to shock you.
Well, maybe.
Because I'm wearing a Canadian Pavilion shirt, but I'm going to favorite the UK.
I figured.
So here's my thing. I think the UK really brings the feeling of, you got the garden in the back. You've got Rose and Crown. You can eat there, but I actually think that the fish and chips at the little walk-up stand is probably better. I think the atmosphere there is really cool. You've got some great meet and greets because you can go around, like there's one that's always empty. And I don't know if people actually even half the time know that it's there.
Yeah.
But meeting Pooh, we met Pooh and Rabbit last time. And the kids were in love with it because you don't get to see Rabbit all that often. So
when we were there with you, all four of our kids met Alice. Remember that?
Right. So you have nice. So you have that one, which is the one people know about, is that Alice will be out front
because it's right on the edge of the path.
But when you go in back, or kind of through the shop, or you can go back into the garden area, like around the corner there, like Pooh meets in, I think it's Christopher Robin's bedroom they call it, but it's a pretty cool meet and greet. So there's that there. I like the shop there. It's kind of cool. Mary Poppins stuff holds a special place for me because my mom is a huge Mary Poppins fan. I do think this was very close to being my fix because I do think that I wish I would have gotten Cherry Tree Lane, but then I saw what the Cherry Tree Lane plans were.
Well, there were a couple of different ones. There was the dark ride version, and then there was
the spinner ride,
or the merry-go-round, or whatever you call it.
Well, it was almost like another version of Teacups, but not.
Yeah,
and it's I don't know. If
that's that's a layup to just throw in.
It's way too much of a layup. Yeah. I think that a dark ride would be cool, but it would take away the garden. I'm not a big fan of taking away the garden because, as people here who've been around for a while know, it's one of my favorite places to relax in all of Epcot because you can go back there. It's always quiet, and there's like sometimes people playing music in that little pavilion. Not pavilion. What do they want to call it? The pergola area.
Yep.
Like, and then
did you tell me
gazebo,
once they had
gazebo.
like a Beatles or the Who type band back there?
I didn't.
Did I imagine that?
You imagined if I told you, I didn't tell you that, but I can.
Listeners, if that's a thing, let us know. I don't know why I had
I do
that
think
in my
I've
head.
heard. I do think I've heard like a British Invasion. I've heard of a British Invasion style band playing in the back there during like a festival,
Okay.
but not.
If that's a thing,
I have not
let us-
seen it.
I don't know why I had that in my head that was a thing.
There's.
I would love it.
I've been back
but-
there when there's a guy playing. I mean, a keyboard, but it sounds like a piano, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
got the set up. You can't have a piano out in that gazebo, but he's playing old classic Disney songs.
Cool.
So think like, but they're all like, so it's Mary Poppins, which is obviously themed to the UK, and like, so there's a lot of really cool stuff that they do. Playing some Peter Pan stuff. I've seen Mary Poppins meet in that gazebo. I just think that pavilion really is quite relaxing, and if you're coming in from the international gateway or that back entrance,
Sure.
I often will turn left there and go to the UK
Mm-hmm.
instead of turning right. Now, of course, with Remy,
Everybody goes right to go
correct
to hop on the queue for Remy.
But if I'm coming in the middle of the day, and Remy's is going to be an 80-minute wait, I'm turning left, going over to the UK, especially if it's hot. You grab a cold beer in the Rose and Crown pub. You take it back into the little garden area, which is themed so well to like those typical Victorian estate gardens with the hedges and whatnot. Your kids can roam. You can sit on a bench. You can listen to some music sometimes, possibly have a meet and greet. So I love the UK pavilion. That's why it's my favorite. So
Okay.
that moves to Fix now.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Well, do we want to go to the halftime show and do our last ones, or do you want?
I think we should both do our Fix.
Okay. And then talk
Wait,
about.
no. How about we do this?
This is new, folks.
Yes,
because we've never done it with our halftime show before.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think we should do Flatten because I think Fix has a lot of talking about. So we'll do Fix, Flatten.
Okay.
And then, or we'll do favorite, Flatten.
Sure.
And then Fix.
Okay.
Although I do want to back up why I'm choosing what I'm choosing.
Me too.
Okay, go ahead. So we're going to go Flatten.
Yep. For me, Flatten is your favorite, the UK Pavilion.
Okay.
So of all of them, and you know me and my tastes, I think as far as the food goes there, I know that place is really popular. The fish and chips, not really my thing. Not my thing.
No, I
So
get that. Look, it's not my thing when it's 90 degrees out either, but
Right.
it's good. It's good fish and chips.
The shop in there is okay. Like, to me, I don't dislike it. And that's what's so hard about this game.
these three,
is that
this sucks because there's three
Of
really
the
good
three
ones.
of them, when I match them all up in my head, like I can still juggle them around right now. But of the three, it's very close. But this one for me just doesn't do a lot for me. You know,
I get it.
I respect that you like to sit back there and chill. And I'll tell you, if there was, and there is, some kind of British Invasion band, that would be cool. That would invite me back there a little bit more. Winnie the Pooh, Mary Poppins are not IPs that I love as much as you do.
I totally get that.
So for me, it's Flatten, and that's UK Pavilion. That's my least favorite out of all of them.
Okay.
So I'm interested where you go here.
Yeah. So I'm going to rip it off like a Band-Aid.
Okay.
I'm going to Flatten Canada. And this is,
Man, and you're wearing the shirt too.
I feel,
I know you have Canadian friends. Maybe you have some of the Canadian friends who are listening who are.
Yeah, so here's the deal.
What are you doing?
So I'm flattening the pavilion because that pavilion is not reminiscent of Canada for me.
Sure.
They boiled down Canada to this mountainous place that doesn't resemble really what Canada is. I think Canada is too wide of a. Canada is too grand.
See, I don't
boil it down to that one little thing.
I disagree. I think that back area is not necessarily supposed to represent mountainous. I think it's just there's water and a waterfall back there to represent Niagara Falls. I always thought.
I don't know about that. I mean, Niagara Falls isn't even 100% Canadian.
No, I know. The other half is on the American side. So I was under that impression because there's moving water.
They attempt to have like a fortress city, kind of like Quebec City.
Yep.
They fail spectacularly on the theming.
Yep.
They lean into the indigenous peoples, and if you look up, there's only one nation in this world who have been worse to indigenous peoples than the United States, and it's our neighbors to the north.
That's too bad.
So, like, the fact that they lean into that would be like if you went to the American Pavilion and they had a bunch of Native American stuff, right? At least the American Pavilion ignores that because they don't want people to think about it. Canada leans into we have all these indigenous peoples. Really? Do you want to talk about how Canada's treated the indigenous peoples? Because it's not real good. Look up the schools up north. Look up stuff like that.
Well, and not to take away what you're saying, and I completely understand that, but just to make another point too, that the style of artwork that you look at,
it's gorgeous. I think it's great.
That's the Northwestern Native Americans. We've done that as a project in my art class before.
Yeah.
So here's the cool thing about that is that what that does is it really spans the whole length of the country because you have kind of that Vancouver area, which is going to be in the Northwest, and it spans all the way over to Quebec City. And that style of architecture. So I'm not. This is how the show works.
No, I get it.
I like that about it.
Right. It doesn't celebrate hockey.
Yeah, fair. It does in the store. The store does.
Sure. They sell hockey puck ears. It doesn't celebrate.
That's cool. I've never seen those.
Yeah.
Well, that is cool.
It doesn't celebrate lacrosse, which is the actual national game.
Yeah.
They redid Canada Far and Wide, and they should have left it alone. The new Canada Far and Wide is bad. It was getting bad before because it was kind of old.
Yeah.
And now it's just like.
How old is it now? 10 years?
No, 5 maybe.
5? Okay.
I think it opened up just prior to COVID, then closed, and then just reopened back up, obviously. Okay. It's so bad they don't even use it all the time because they usually open that spot up for festival space.
Really?
Oh, yeah. That becomes like the apple cart or something like that.
Huh.
Like they boil stuff down. Canada is such a vast country.
Yeah.
With so many different culturally significant things.
But don't you feel like all the pavilions are like that too, though?
No, because United States, and I have an issue with the American Pavilion. I probably would have flattened the American Pavilion if that came up.
Sure.
Because you can't boil down American culture to colonial times, which is what they try to do. You can't boil down Canadian culture to whatever it is they're trying to do there, and they're trying to do it into one big giant mixing pot, and they don't do a good job of it. If you want to pick the fortress, like the walled city of Quebec City, cool. If you want to pick Montreal, if you want to pick Toronto, cool. You want to pick the cities of the Northwest. Well, I guess it's technically the Southwest for them, but like
right for us it is. Yeah, sure.
Then
like Vancouver.
If you want to pick them, cool. Pacific Northwest, pick those ones. If you want to pick the rodeo towns, cool. Mm-hmm. But pick something, because trying to do all that and then to lean into indigenous peoples who, trust me, don't like if you don't want to be depressed, don't look up stuff about how they've treated indigenous people.
Well, I know that there's the few times that I've been to Toronto recently, there's been a lot of protests in the city.
Yeah, because they farmed these kids. The short story is they farmed people out to these schools up north, and they literally were like boarding schools type thing, where they had slave labor of kids, and like kids died, and it's like, oh, don't worry about it. Their native parents won't ever find out.
Jeez,
it's like buried them in the backyard of the school. It's like crazy stuff. I love Canada, right? I mean, my favorite band is the Tragically Hip, who are Canadian as they get. But this pavilion does not tell the story of Canada, and so I'm flattening it.
That's fair.
And now we'll head off to the halftime show.
All right.
Where we're gonna.
But honestly, that's really interesting.
Shocking.
No, it's good info. But you know it. You're from what? 45 minutes from Canada, right?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom's closer now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is just. I don't feel it does a good job of it, right? And I also don't feel it does a good job of the cuisine. Like when I think of Canadian cuisine, I don't think of Le Cellier.
a steakhouse.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. They have beautiful, amazing houses in Montreal and in Quebec, but that's not what I think about when I think about Canadian cuisine. I think about stick to your ribs, like just stews and like poutine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like tarte au sucre, which is like a maple sugar pie, which is literally just maple sugar poured into a pie crust, and you're eating a brick of sugar, basically. It's amazingly good.
Maybe they have a little dessert restaurant or something. That might be cool, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many like, honestly, I had this initially as a fix, and then I was like, no, I can't fix. There's so much to do. I can't justify this. So
it's too big of a project.
It's too
to
big
fix
of a problem.
The Canadian
It's
Pavilion.
too big of a problem.
There's a soundbite.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna head off to the halftime show, brought to you by our Patreon patrons. If you don't know what that is, you go to patreon.com/DizlessPod. There you can gain early access to new episodes, as well as exclusive episodes that we release every week. Those episodes have things like Favorite Fix and Flatten, which
And
you're
you can go
enjoying
back
today.
and listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
So we're going to head off to the halftime show, and we'll see you right after this. Welcome back. Now we're going to get to the fun stuff.
Right.
Now we're going to...
Well, this is probably going to be we ended up with the same thing.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Because if you're keeping
Keeping
track,
score, yeah.
we had both of ours flipped. So our favorites were opposite. Where our favorite and Flattens were opposite.
Yes.
So I chose to favorite Canada.
Correct.
You chose to flatten Canada. And I chose to flatten UK Pavilion. You chose to favorite UK Pavilion, which leads us to Germany. So
I'm not... so here's the thing.
Sure.
I'm not shocked that we both picked to fix this.
Yeah.
I feel like the bones on this are good.
Correct. And I'm wondering what direction you're going.
I have like 3 or 4 different things that I want to fix.
Okay. I got one big one.
I have one big one too, and it's probably going to be the first thing I wrote down is going to match yours.
Okay. If it is, jump in.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I don't want to
go ahead.
steal your thunder if it's the same. So what originally was the plan in the Japan Pavilion was they were originally going to put the Matterhorn back in the Japanese Pavilion, but they were going to make it Mount Fuji.
Okay.
And they were going to do the dual roller coaster.
Right.
So in Disneyland, for those of you who are not familiar, there's a ride called the Matterhorn, and it's very bumpy, and a lot of people will come off and claim they now have back issues.
Their Matterhorn is our version of Space Mountain.
Yes, I think it's worse. It was a fun ride, but it definitely moves you all around there. So my idea here is let's take that concept. Let's take the space behind the German Pavilion, because you may speak on this because originally there was a dark ride plan there.
There's still the entrance for it.
Correct. So take that entrance, go through, take that Matterhorn, and put it back there. But here's the thing. The Matterhorn, I looked this up, it was originally modeled after the mountain range that's between Switzerland and Italy. Okay?
Yep.
So thematically, it's not one of the German ones.
Correct.
Okay? So what I looked up is Zugspitze is is the highest peak in Germany. Okay. So model it visually after that. Not a great name for a ride. It doesn't roll off the tongue as easily, right? So what I thought would work, even though it would be modeled after, same ride, just copy paste it, but call it something different. So I thought White Mountain, in German, that is Weisserberg. So Weiss is white in German, and Berg means mountain. So Weisserberg would be the name of that specific ride. You go in, restaurant would be the same. You walk through, and then you have a ride there in the back. That's my concept for fixing Germany, making it an attraction. Also, if you look at the way that the layout is in Epcot, there really isn't a bigger attraction there. And I know generally Disney says they want to go to things that are IP, and I know this is probably not happened because there isn't a specific IP to go along with it.
Maybe.
But it's also a copy-paste. And since it's a copy-paste, sometimes Disney likes to have the easy way out. They could just refurb the track because it seems like the track is the issue in Disneyland, and that's why it's kind of, bumpy. There's also a Yeti on the inside, which we have that ride already over at Everest, but they could just kind of retheme it a little bit differently, maybe lay into yodeling and that whole just some more fun aspects of the German culture, which I really enjoy. I've been to Germany twice in my life. It's one of my favorite places to visit. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. Took German in high school. I know very, very little, but we toured there with a band, and then we went there with my family in 1985. So I've been there twice. Absolutely love Germany. It's one of my favorites for a lot of reasons.
So I'm going
to
jump in on the ride.
Yep.
I agree. It needs to be a ride. My idea is not maybe as grandiose as putting in an entire roller coaster.
Sure.
But I think they should do a dark ride. All right. Now, when you think dark ride and you think Germany, there's lots of things you could do. You could do like the Black Forest. You could do all these different things.
That'd be great.
Right? The IP Band-Aid has been ripped off.
Sure.
Correct.
And now everything.
Epcot.
Yeah. Now it's.
So when I first started thinking, I was like, well, duh, Seven Dwarfs is German.
There's one other too.
There's more than one, but yeah.
Really? Okay.
So then I was like, well, wait a second. Yeah, Seven Dwarfs is German, but that's because it was written by the Grimm brothers.
Uh-huh.
And for those of you who don't know, Walt Disney, the irony of Walt Disney.
Oh, and this could be an entire Patreon episode right here.
And their fight over like all of the IP rights for years and years and years have been.
I'll get my prop ready.
Yeah. All their fights over like Mickey and expanding how long they get to own these rights. When you think about it, it's hilarious because they didn't steal, because it was public domain. They had access to all of the Grimm brothers stories. And so Snow White is a Grimm brothers story, but you know what else is a Grimm brothers story and is a lot more recent and is extremely popular and we don't have a ride for?
Please tell me.
We only have bathrooms for it. Rapunzel.
Oh my gosh, perfect. That's German?
Yes, Rapunzel is a Grimm brothers story.
That's a layup right there.
Yeah, and so
awesome.
You could easily do a dark ride with Rapunzel. Think about the situation. In Tangled, when she's on the little boat, right, with Flynn. And all of the...
Well, they have that ride now in, I don't know if it's Shanghai or it's Tokyo.
So you're talking about copy and paste.
Do it. Oh, it's a great idea.
So, like...
Love that, too.
That is a German story.
Oh, geez. I love that, too.
So, I mean, and then for some reason, Disney also made Pinocchio, which is an Italian story, into a German setting, which is also weird.
Right.
So, I guess...
which is weird. Stromboli and...
Yeah.
These Italian
And then
names.
They have Pinocchio...
Pinocchio is an Italian name,
Pinocchio
too.
Village House.
Yeah.
Which is German house.
And it's spelled Haus, the German spelling,
But Rapunzel, dark ride is what I think would be great. I do think they need to switch that sit-down restaurant. I've eaten there. It's good food. I like it. I like the performance. I love all of that.
I ate there in the 80s. I don't think we have since. Not a lot we can eat there, but I'm not anti.
There's a lot you can eat there.
Really?
Yeah. There's like no gluten.
Sauerkraut?
It's all sausages and...
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We love that stuff.
It's all sausages and potatoes.
Oh, I don't want sauerkraut, though.
So don't eat sauerkraut. You don't have to.
My God. My grandmother used to make sauerkraut
I make
the time.
I make like legit sauerkraut. And like,
I bet.
At like 7 gallons at a time.
Well, I mean, I grew up the town over from the sauerkraut festival.
Yeah. So
the whole town smelled like sauerkraut.
Yeah, it's true. It does. But I think that restaurant needs to be either... I think instead of a buffet, it would do better if it were, you could order a German meal.
Sure.
And then in recent years, the alcohol taboo at Disney has lifted.
Yeah.
Significantly. And I think if they put in a true German beer hall, that would be kind of cool.
Great.
Which I think they could do, because if you go into that restaurant, it is so massive.
It's huge.
It could easily be 2 restaurants. And you could do a table service where you sit down and you order your German foods a la carte as opposed to in a buffet style. And I get why they do buffet style. It lends itself well. to that style of food, but I would like to see a true table service, and then an actual beer garden where you go in and it looks like it's open air and it feels like you're in Oktoberfest all year round. I think that would be cool.
I think Busch Gardens Williamsville has the actual like oompa band that plays.
Is it Williamsburg or Ville?
Williamsville is in Buffalo. Go Bills. You're right. It's Williamsburg. Sorry.
I was gonna say.
It's
right.
Virginia.
Yeah, you go to Allentown, turn left.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I got Buffalo on my mind. This got a big game tonight. But back to Disney. This is not a Bills podcast. Anyway, but I think that's where I've seen the actual band performing.
Yes.
In that big. Have you been to that place before? To the
restaurant?
Well, no. To Busch Gardens. Williamsburg.
Oh. No. Sorry.
Because they have countries there too.
Yep.
And I remember the Germany one, going in there and eating, and there's I think it was kind of like a food court, but I think the middle of it, they had kind of like what do you call it? You said it earlier. They have it in the UK pavilion. Gazebo in the middle where the band would play.
So
I
wouldn't
they're just called an oompa band.
Yeah, I wouldn't change much about from the back forward.
Yeah,
just that back building where the dark ride was supposed to be and where the restaurant is. I'd split that restaurant in half, put a true beer hall in, true beer garden, make it look like you're outside. Like, I think that would be amazing. Not because of
it's so easy.
Like, the alcohol taboo is kind of gone at Disney. You do that. You could even, do really cool theming. You could even do a beer hall where you're at. I mean, if you're going to do the Rapunzel dark ride.
See, I would put
Ugly Duckling.
Well, I would put the entrance. Oh my gosh, that's too perfect too. The entrance should be over by where the trains are. And I'm not saying get rid of the trains because people love the trains, but that could be adjusted.
100%.
If you think of where the trains are,
there's all that
wood behind it.
Yeah, behind it. 100%.
That's perfect for a large entrance for a ride. You can create part of the queue inside, which that's one of the best things about Epcot is the majority of Epcot's queues are indoors. And on a really hot day, book Epcot because you're probably going to be waiting inside for your ride, unless it spills outside. And I won't name all of them individually.
Frozen sometimes you are, but
yes, I mean there's a few. Remy's kind of half in, half out, but for the most part, you're inside.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's great. I love that idea.
I love that we both agree.
Cool
I think we both agree though that Germany has good bones and just needs to be plussed a little bit.
I just love their culture. I love the country. It's so beautiful.
Oh, I want to fix one more thing.
Sure.
Fix the darn pretzels. The big pretzels you can get in the Germany pavilion, they're not good. They're cold. Like, fix them. Make them as good as the one. They're the same pretzel over at Baseline Tap House, but the ones at Baseline Tap House are always warm. That's the other thing.
You haven't said the magic word yet. This was again, we're going to use the term layup for a third time. You didn't say mustard here.
Yeah, I didn't. You
love your mustard. I
do love mustard. There's lots of good German mustard inside of the beer garden. And honestly, you're right. That is a layup. I can't believe I didn't.
Is Grey Poupon British?
I mean, it's French.
It's French?
Yeah.
Poupon is what's that mean in French?
Couldn't tell you.
Oh.
But it's a brand.
Okay.
But this is so off the rails now.
No.
So the Germany pavilion, let's recap. Germany pavilion was both of our fixes.
Yeah.
We both think a ride needs to go in. I agree. They had planned a ride. Why not? I do think they could fix up some of the food service there. We flip-flopped our favorites and our flattens.
We did.
You favorited Canada.
Yep.
And I favorited UK.
I think we both had good arguments either way, but I don't think either of us are going to flip. No pun intended.
No, and then Flatten, obviously, you picked to flatten Flatten UK, and I picked to flatten Canada.
Yeah.
And I think both arguments stand. Just like you said, it's tough for me to go into that Canadian pavilion and feel like Canada.
Sure.
But that's because of where I lived, right? Mm-hmm. I lived close enough to Canada that my experience with Canada is Quebec City and Montreal. And then, the areas around that. So Mont Tremblant and stuff like that. If you're from the West Coast and you're thinking Vancouver, you're not getting that either. So, and you're definitely not getting anything in the plains because there's nothing, address except for like a 30-second snippet of the video. They talk about the Calgary Stampede. Like
That's
they
it?
don't. Yeah, they don't. I mean, really talk about anything there. So I do think Canada's just too big to really boil down to a pavilion, and that's why I did it.
Yeah,
and UK, why you wanted to get rid of yours makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't appeal to you.
That's not my thing.
the
But
IP
I'm not anti. It's a fun place to go. And
Right, but the IP
that's what makes
doesn't
the game
appeal to
hard.
you. The IP doesn't appeal to you. So
Yeah.
it makes total sense.
So I want to end with this. I would like a call to action for our listeners.
Okay.
What I'd like to see more often, because this is a lot of fun for me. If I were listening to this episode and I got this far, if you're still listening, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And usually Nick does this. When Nick posts our new episode, we invite all of you to give us yours.
Yeah.
We want to know, is yours the same? Do you agree with Nick? Do you agree with me? Is yours completely different? We want to encourage every week to give us your list, give us your thoughts on something, or chime in and say, hey, maybe they do have a stage for the Oompa band, which they don't, but anyway. Because
They do.
You're there.
Yeah,
they
they
do.
do.
Have it.
Off to the left.
Oh, they do have it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have video
And
from
then
this past trip.
we just invite you to get in the habit of participating online, and we'll go on and look at those. And if we're doing a top 5 some week, give us your top 5 too. We love that stuff. We appreciate the interaction, and it means a lot to us. So if you're listening now,
we have a couple patrons who do it every week. I can
That's
guarantee
awesome.
you right now.
Great.
That as they're listening to this, they're like,
I
I
do it all
already
the
do
time.
that. Yeah.
good, and thank you.
Yep.
We really appreciate that. And
Yeah. Jessica, Stacy, Sherry, they often reach out with theirs.
But that's part of the fun with doing a podcast like this, is kind of weighing in on what we say. Do you disagree with us? Do you agree with us? And then doing your own, because we get to do it. Why can't you do it too? And I'm going to try to do that more often, as just invitation to our listeners to come on and participate.
And I invite you to follow us at Dizless Pod pretty much everywhere. That includes over at YouTube. We would love a subscription over there, and watch the videos there if you so choose, or listen to them on YouTube. If you're doing stuff around the house, you do have to stare at our ugly mugs, but other than that,
It's all right.
yeah,
I take a shower.
yeah, we have a face for radio. It's okay. I said that the other day. Somebody
You
just,
did.
I forget who it was, a student or somebody just started dying laughing. I was like, yeah, we just have faces for radio. It is
And
what
they
it
go,
is.
"What's radio?"
Yeah.
We made that joke the other day because Nick came in and they played my band on the radio, which is
Yeah.
very cool.
Yep.
They played one of our songs, and some of the kids don't even know what radio is.
Yeah. It's like Spotify? No, radio.
Yeah. What's
over
that?
Over the air.
Yeah.
But
Over the air. You just throw it up into the sky?
yeah, it's in the cloud.
Boy, you're really strong if you throw a record all the way up to a cloud.
Oh, guys.
Anyway.
Before this gets any more off the rails, it's been a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow is just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.